Welcome back to the module on strategic management. My name is Osman Sidat. To reiterate, the key to understanding the content of this module is to thoroughly read the various chapters and see the links between them. The main objective, I can remind you of this module, is to critically apply the concepts of strategy and strategic management. Previously, we covered the definition of strategic management and the three components of strategy: formulation, strategy implementation, and strategy evaluation. In addition, we talked about the project that has to be undertaken. To remind you again, strategic management links an organization with its dynamic business environment. This process of strategic management begins with strategic intent, what an organization plans to strive for in the future. It requires organizations to ask themselves, what is our fundamental purpose? Strategic intent and vision, mission, and value statements can thus be considered to be the tools used to determine the strategic direction of an organization. A clear strategic intent, therefore, gives managers a point of departure from which they can make decisions about the future of their organizations. Organizations that lack a clear strategic intent often face conflicting priorities, wasted resources, indecision, and frustration among the workforce, and then confusion in the marketplace. A vision can be regarded as a dream or a mental image of a desired future. In other words, what the organization wants to become. This vision articulates the strategic intent of the organization and is meant to focus attention, capacity, and energy on the declared purpose of the organization. It is a description of the future direction. Flowing from this vision, the mission statement represents the overriding purpose of the organization, who we are and what we do. It provides clarity about this: who we are, what we do, who our customers are, and the way things are done. The benefits of a clear strategic direction are that it guides human behavior, it defines working relationships, it contributes to shaping employee relationships with each other and with customers. It can lead to improved performance by aiding the tasks of formulation and implementation of strategy. And it also serves as a benchmark for allocating resources. Moreover, it can inspire employees throughout the organization. The concept of governance refers to the process of running an organization. This process consists of mechanisms and institutions through which organizations articulate their interests, exercise their legal rights, and meet their obligations. Governance represents the means by which direction and control are applied to the control of the assets of an organization in the pursuit and delivery of its primary objective, that is, its purpose. It is essentially a function of leadership and direction within an organization. It relates to risk management and control over the activities of the organization, and the manner in which disclosure relating to activity is made to stakeholders. Thus, governance is related to how organizations are run and closely related to the way an organization is directed. And this includes issues on strategies, policies, and procedures that directly impact on the performance of the organization. Governance consists of decisions and actions linked to defining the mission of the organization, the establishment of policies, and determining the controls used to allocate power. With regard to how an organization is run, the following must be considered. The notion, firstly, of corporate social responsibility, that organizations have a duty to serve not only the interests of shareholders, but also the interests of wider stakeholders and society. Social responsibility can be described as organizational decision-making linked to ethical values, compliance with legal requirements, and respect for communities and the environment. Secondly, environmental responsibility, which exceeds the mandate and capabilities of an organization, but economic activity is threatened by the way resources are extracted, processed, transported, and disposed of. And finally, sustainability. Sustainable development is defined as the development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Organizations must consider how their strategies impact on wider economic systems, the environment, and the communities in which they operate. Stakeholder engagement then relates to anyone who is directly or indirectly influenced by the acts of the organization. So, the stakeholders of an organization are individuals or groups with an interest in the organization, in what the organization does and how well it performs. Bringing this all together, the notion of the sustainable organization as a key element of business strategy is related to these concepts of corporate social responsibility and stakeholder engagement. The relationship between strategy and an organization's social and environmental context to mitigate the risks and to exploit opportunities for value creation effectively must be clearly understood. There are direct economic benefits that can be derived from a proactive approach to sustainable development. The sustainable organization recognizes that long-term business success is tied to the success of the communities and societies in which businesses operate. And therefore, for organizations to be able to understand the present and predict the future, an integrated understanding of those environments of an organization is essential. So the strategic management process is a way of aligning the resources and capabilities of an organization with the constantly changing and increasingly competitive environment in pursuit of its goals. The external environment forces present themselves as opportunities for or threats to the competitiveness, the sustainable growth, and the profitability of an organization. In the same way that internal forces represent strengths and weaknesses in an organization. Organizations therefore need to know and understand their external as well as their internal environments in order to respond effectively to the challenges. The external environment includes everything outside the organization at different levels that might affect the ability of the organization to attain its objectives. This will include the macro environment, which includes political, economic, social, demographic, technological, and natural environment forces. These forces originate beyond the organization and are usually irrespective of the operating situation of the organization. The industry, on the other hand, is the environment that includes actual and potential competitors, suppliers, buyers, organizations that supply substitute products, and organizations that provide complementary products. And then the internal environment constitutes everything inside the organization, particularly the resources and capabilities. And these affect the ability of managers to pursue strategies and over which management has control. The external environmental analysis focuses attention on identifying and evaluating trends and events beyond the control of the organization, and also to reveal opportunities and threats confronting the organization that influences the strategic behavior of the organization. The process of this external analysis includes 4 activities. Firstly, scanning to identify signals of any changes and trends, monitoring by detecting the meaning of those changes and trends through observation, Then forecasting, developing projections and outcomes based on those monitored changes and trends. And finally, assessing, determining the influence of the strategy of the organization by evaluating those changes and trends. Typical macro environmental factors and issues are presented in your study guide. An industry, on the other hand, can be defined as a group of organizations producing products and services that are essentially the same. In this regard, a market is defined as a group of customers for specific products or services that are essentially the same. When we analyze the industry, it means defining the industry, understanding the key success factors, the structure, and the competitive and cooperative dynamics in that industry. The structure of an industry depends on some enduring characteristics that give the industry its distinctive character, and these can be identified through 4 variables. Firstly, concentration, the extent to which a few organizations dominate or not. Economies of scale, savings due to increased volume which may result in price reduction and or greater market share. Product differentiation, the extent to which these goods and services are perceived as different from organizations. And then finally, the barriers to entry, the obstacles to entering that industry. Porter's model can be used to determine the state and extension of competition in a given industry. The model talks about 5 forces: the extent of rivalry among the existing industry members, the threat of new entrants, the bargaining power of buyers, the bargaining power of suppliers, and the threat of substitute products. In your project, students may want to utilize this model to analyze the industry competitive factors for their project. Industry analysis also reveals the key factors of success in an industry. This too is part of your project. Key success factors are the product attributes, competencies, competitive capabilities, and the market achievements that are likely to have the greatest impact on future success. The pursuit of opportunities in the external environment depends on the competitive advantage that organizations experience from their resources and capabilities. Internal analysis, on the other hand, is the process in which management identifies what is good and what is lacking in the organization. And this is done by evaluating the organization's assets, skills, and work activities. An organization cannot pursue a specific strategic direction if it does not know what it can and cannot do, and what assets it has and does not have. When an organization is able to match what it can do with what it might do, this allows it to pursue its vision and its strategic intent, its strategic mission, and to select and implement its strategies. The outcome resulting from internal analysis will determine what an organization can do, while the outcome of external environmental analysis will identify what the organization may choose to do. The organization should therefore be viewed as a bundle of resources, capabilities, and core competences that can be used to create an exclusive position in the market. We refer to this as competitive advantage. The implication of this is that the organization has some resources and capabilities that others do not have. And the presence of these resources and capabilities leads to strategic competitiveness, when an organization is able to use them to satisfy the demands of the external environment. The strategic resources of an organization are often categorized into 3 classes. The physical resources, which refer to the tangible assets that appear on the balance sheet, which are used to create value. The intangible resources, which include some things such as brand value and brand equity, culture and intellectual capital. and these are often not extensively measured or reported. And finally, the human resources, the individual skills and competences to which the organization has access. These are unique in that although the organization does not own them, they contribute significantly to value creation in the organization. Organizational capabilities, therefore, refer to the capacity of the organization to combine resources into productive capacities. Capabilities represent combinations of assets, people, and processes, and as such are a higher order resource than factor inputs. There are three broad categories of organizational capabilities. The threshold capabilities refer to the minimum capabilities needed to compete in a particular market. The distinctive capabilities, on the other hand, are unique and valuable and provide the basis for competitive advantage. They also form the basis of strategic innovation, the ability to develop new markets and new products. And then dynamic capabilities refer to the ability of the organization to develop new capabilities, to build, integrate, and restructure capabilities to address changes in a rapidly dynamic environment. Good environmental analysis, therefore, is the analysis of the external environment, the industry, and the internal environment is a definite precondition for good strategy making. There has to be systematic appraisal of an organization's resources and capabilities, and this provides the basis of formulating or reformulating strategy. In the next session, we will be looking at strategy formulation, implementation, and control in more detail. Thank you.